Hey everyone, it's Bob Crossan, Senior Managing Editor of Water and Waste Digest. Today I am so excited to have with us Dr. Lindsay Birt. She is Client Solutions Manager for Xylem. She was recently awarded a U.S. Water Prize, so we're going to talk to her a little bit about that achievement and also in about her efforts regarding One Water, which is part of why she got that award. So Lindsay, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us today.
Thank you, Bob, for this opportunity to speak with you.
And of course, congratulations on a water prize. Seriously, such a cool achievement. I love talking to the water prize winners when I have the opportunity, so it's great to have you here to talk to you about that. So congratulations, seriously.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And on that note, what does it mean to you to get an award like that? I imagine that's got to be so satisfying knowing that the work that you've done has led to some type of acknowledgement on this type of scale.
Yes, I'm truly honored for this award as a Rise Leader from the U.S. Water Alliance. I'm so grateful for the recognition. And I'm grateful also just for being a part of U.S. Water Alliance and their Up and Rising cohort this past year in 2020, where I was able to be around other amazing rising leaders across the U.S. and hear about how they're addressing One Water. So truly, I'm humbled and grateful for this recognition. And like you said, it's like an enunciation of my pursuit to continue and my mission and my purpose and to tell my story. So yes, I'm really thankful for this award.
Yeah, that's so cool. I wanted to ask you too. I know I didn't actually put this question in there, but how did you get involved with the U.S. Water Alliance? Like how did that whole thing get initiated for you?
Well, this was about a year and a half ago. I saw some notification about the U.S. Water Alliance developing a new up and rising mentor cohort program, and where you had to apply, and they were selecting a few groups of young rising leaders, and then they would team us up with seasoned utility leaders across the U.S. and kind of understand from them of how they have not only acknowledged One Water strategies and barriers, but then how they've implemented them across their utility. And so that was just really a powerful experience. It really solidified some of my own how I'm addressing One Water in my career, in my profession. And it also was able to allow me to hear from other young professionals. And that really brought the awareness of there's a lot being done, but there's a lot more we could do. Right. And so this past year has just been a great experience being a part of that cohort and then also being recognized with this award.
Yeah, and I imagine those connections that you made with the mentors and the young professionals are steadfast, especially during a pandemic. So,
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, no, definitely right. I mean, with the pandemic and the shutdown, it was like, how do you stay connected with others or who are really striving to push One Water? And this was just a great opportunity to hear, as you mentioned, from other rising leaders and from my mentors as well.
hmm so yeah, on the note of what you've done for One Water and kind of your mission and your purpose that you were talking about, could you talk about some of your core efforts when it comes to One Water? What is really driving you in regards to this movement?
Yeah, great question. So, as client solutions manager for Xylem and Xylem's digital solutions, I partner closely with utility leaders to help them solve their most pressing water challenges using digital solutions. And so, really driving digital transformation across the water sector. I call it kind of the smart water cycle or watershed approach. And I found that there's a challenge right now. A lot of utilities, a lot of landowners are collecting a lot of data, but how do you unlock data driven decisions from the data that you're collecting? And so for years, I was working with municipalities and watershed groups and even nonprofits collecting a lot of data, but knew that there were opportunities using digital solutions to really unlock and make decision intelligence decisions and also optimize those solutions. And so that's what's one of my drivers and efforts I've been doing is working with not only urban environments but agriculture environments and using digital solutions to improve the water quality from agriculture lands. And then also one of my personal missions is increase diversity and equity and inclusion in the water workforce. And so I've worked to kind of advance that through collaborative white papers with other utility leaders, across the water sector to really acknowledge the barriers and challenges and recommendations to address water diversity in our sector. And also, there's this big importance, I think, in water equity. And so, how do we leverage kind of the traditional design engineering practices to look at it from a water equity lens? And this is not something you learn in college. They're just now creating courses for this. And so we look at what Flint, Michigan, that was back in 2014. But if you think about it, water equity has been a challenge since the Industrial Revolution, right? We just may not have water equity. And so how do we bring this to the forefront and come up with actual solutions? And how can digital technology be a tool to advance that? So these are the things that I'm working on continuously and supporting our communities and addressing that. And so it's just exciting to be able to tell my story across the One Water Alliance and for the recognition that they've gave for me.
Yeah, this is such an interesting convergence of ideas of like this a ton of data, which every utility has a ton of data, whether it's on papers in a closet somewhere or it's on a server housed somewhere. Everywhere has all this data, but how can you use that data to get this water equity conversation going and to reach those new levels of improvement for your utility? Like whether it's equity, access, or affordability, all those things, this data information can be so critical in solving a little bit of those problems. So, a very cool way that you've converged all of those ideas together.
Yeah, I probably would attest it to my interdisciplinary background. So my degrees are in agriculture and biological engineering with a focus in watershed management. And I also took a lot of courses in social science. So understanding the collaborative multi-sector partnership is really critical in transforming how we think, how we set visions, and how we deploy digital intelligence to look at, that everybody needs water, right? So how can we solve this together?
Yeah, that wow, all those things, so much interconnectivity. It's incredible. Like, so why do you feel that One Water is such a valuable thing for the future of the industry? I think that you've touched on some of it already, but is there a way that you succinctly try and explain that to people?
Yes, I mean, I think about this past year and year and a half, this has really been unprecedented times, right? Not only public health with a pandemic, but social injustice, right? Economic impacts, aging infrastructure, and intensification of severe weathers. We're seeing it right now, even with a Hurricane Ida coming through Louisiana all the way up to New York right now, and the flooding they're experiencing, the flooding that occurred in Europe just a few months ago and in China. So one thing is clear: everyone needs water. We need clean water. We need smart infrastructure. We need to address our aging infrastructure. We need to deal with these intense storm events. And that's why I feel like it's important that we continue to invest in this One Water framework. It's really valuable for now and the future of our water sector. And again, a multi-sector collaborative approach is critical to creating innovation, shaping culture, and vision setting so that we can tackle these water challenges together.
Hmm. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm a lot to unpack with that, but that's a great explanation of just how important breaking down, like understanding where the verticals are and breaking down how those verticals can interact with each other and interconnect with each other. Getting back to that interconnectivity you were mentioning before, um, do you see that as being one of the core barriers of that, of like breaking down those silos, or are barriers something else entirely when it comes to One Water for you?
I think it is. We can address that. There's some challenges with the silos we have in our water sector. We have conservationists, we have limnologists, we have, a geographic information specialist, we have engineers, scientists, researchers. We have all these people that are touching an expertise, social science, right? And then understanding different environments, built environment, urban environment, agriculture. And so we really do need to bring everybody to the table. And I think that's been our barrier. And we need to have different voices at the table. We need landowners and farmers. We need urban, city. We need to bring us all together and hear these challenges and plights and then address it. And I believe we have the technology. I believe we have the people there to provide the voice and the vision. It's just bringing it together. And I think that is the biggest challenge we're facing.
Yeah, the unifying voice. Like I've heard this as well from some other folks of like everyone's kind of like they're in their own boats rowing downstream, and like they don't know how to row in the same boat, or like we're not all in the same boat yet, kind of a thing. So once we all get into the boat, then uh, we need someone calling out where we're going, right? So you kind of like you need the vision, but you also need the person who's going to guide the vision and be the navigator, so to speak, right? So it's just really
Mhm.
interesting that you're that's what it sounds like to me from what I'm hearing from you, is that that's kind of part of the barrier here. Is like how do we get everyone in the boat, and then who's going to help navigate us? Who's going to be that voice that gives us that navigation tool?
Yeah, I think too, acknowledging that there's still more that we need to do in the water sector. I think in 2016, the Brookings Institute said our water workforce is mainly found of 85% male, two-thirds are older age. And this is still a challenge that we're facing right now in our water industry. So it's imperative as we bring these voices together, as we bring these different ideas together, we want to have a water workforce that reflects the diversity of the communities you serve. And so that's why I see that it's not only addressing those challenges, but bringing diversity, equity, inclusion to the table, bring those different voices together so we can solve water together.
Hmm. Yeah, it's not just about that data, it's about the lived experience too, right? So, like,
Right.
having those additional lived experiences inform what you're seeing from the data can help solve problems that you otherwise didn't see because you don't have the lived experience to understand it from that perspective.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, that's so cool. But anyway, in 2022, it sounds like obviously you're very into this One Water thing. Sounds like you're going to be moving forward with it for a long time. Where do you see One Water going, like 2022 and beyond? What conversations do you expect to have?
Great question. I think we're just scratching the surface on digital transformation in our water sector. We're seeing computing power has exponentially increased over the past decade, but yet water has been very, very slow to adopt digital technologies. And all of us, I would say most of us have a mobile device with some type of mapping system on that app. And that is driven by machine learning, digital intelligence. And so we can utilize that to navigate our routes. We should be able to utilize that to navigate the challenges we're facing in our water sector. And I think that's going to be critical now and moving forward in the future. And on top of that, addressing, like you mentioned, not only the data, but that living experience. And we continue need to strive and address water equity, environmental justice. You call it whatever you want to call it. It's here. It's a challenge. We need to solve it. I think we can solve it together. And we're going to see more of that conversation coming through in 2022. And it's imperative because the generation behind me, the next generation, they're expecting us to address this. They're expecting us to solve it. And they're asking, why haven't we already? So we really do need to bring our hats and our solutions together, solve this problem together. And I think we can. I'm seeing a lot of exciting work being done globally to address water equity. Even at Xylem, we're creating digital solutions to address water equity, which is very exciting. It's called our water equity lens. And so we're going to see more of that conversation continue in 2022. And again, it's about addressing one water challenges, advancing digitalization in our water sector, and continue to increase diversity in our water sector as well.
Mhm. You're so right about that next generation coming up. They are expecting us to have this solved or be on the path to solving it, and they're expecting that solution to be equal, diverse, like inclusive, everything. They're expecting it to be this whole piece, holistic view of water moving forward. So, 100% behind that. But yeah, anyway, so thank you so much for talking with us today. We really appreciate you taking the time. Congratulations once more on winning a water prize. For everyone who is watching, we will have some links in the description below to some resources about One Water and some of the Xylem water equity stuff that they've got online as well. We'd be happy to provide that information to everyone watching as well. But Dr. Lindsay Birt, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Bob, for your time. Thank you so much.